I say, good morning. A beautiful southern morning to be engaging the luminosity within all of you. As a professor, greatest of the nine, I go by so many names these days. How do we justify all this madness going on? The particular angle of society I want to talk to today is the relationship angle. What is the standard form of the typical relationship? If your answer is chaos, you would be correct. Um, Love is really not that complex. The problem with this narcissistic society is that it has been set up to um, accommodate division more than unity. That's why you can always flash unity, but people always, most of the mental faculties are steeped in division. This is the end game and point of all reality television. This is why you get to know, or you get to be conveniently displayed what goes on with celebrities and their relationships, because that's like idolatry within idolatry. There's a reason why you watch these movies and these actors get paid these big time salaries, because they are actually representing a model of what you were to follow in your everyday life. But as a good friend of mine said, she said an actor is a professional, masterful liar. The problem is they found, or the solution rather, or the difference, is that they have called upon energies from other planes to produce whatever truth they need to at that moment. There's the classic example of, you got your crazy legendary actors like Denzel, De Niro, Samuel L. and these type of guys who can, with the type of stuff they're dealing with, they can probably deal with those energies at will. But, any actor, anytime you go into a stage, even for musicians, you're producing a force for everybody to feel and be touched by. And so the sentiment is that you must pull inspiration or juice from another plane. How does this tie into relationships? Well, the main thing to keep in mind is that many of our systems and avenues in society are paved towards the preservation of woman. That's good. And do not mistake me for some sort of He-Man woman hater. I'm with Spanky and Alfalfa, and I'm up here talking down to women. It has nothing like that. I'll discuss my views on the whole um, marriage thing in another video. I want to keep this on general relationships. Um, so as another wise brother, and many, people have recognized, women, it's like I was telling a coworker of mine, we need women to play the game, or start the quest is a better way to say it. Because if you're a real man, you don't be out here playing no games. Now, I've tried the game playing phase, alright, and fell flat on my face. But the idea is that women are apt to change. Women have a more, I don't take this and run with it, potent reciprocity with the cosmos. In other words, one day she could be this way, one day she could be this way. As above, so below. So the weather may be this day, especially nowadays with all of these. That's why you're seeing all of this crazy energy on the planet. It has nothing to do, or it's not entirely based in HARP and, controlling the weather. You can't just control the weather like that. You can utilize technology to manage what you can touch of the weather, but you give these people far too much power when you say, oh, they're controlling the weather, they're bringing in the snow, they're bringing in the cold front, they're bringing in the hurricane, bringing in the chemtrails. Elements of that are true, but you can't just take the element of forces versus the white man and say that somehow he's controlling all of that. Okay, many forces are controlling things out here that you see, and that's why there's so many disinformation agents out here. Is they want to continually lock you into this idea that they're presenting the truth, but the truth is the world around them too is changing. So everybody is kind of doing their best in this quicksand. And what's going to start to happen is there's going to be even more drastic changes. So a woman is like the weather. A woman is like, the tree and the breeze. And all that poetic stuff just means that she can change. She's apt to change. She's supposed to change. A woman should enhance what man feels greatest about himself. So if a man doesn't respect himself, or if a man doesn't govern himself where he's standing on principles and living his best life, she's going to exploit it. It's not a matter of morality. Okay? Most women are opportunists, and that opportunist has been turned into kind of an evil word. But you got to look at it from a chess point of view. You know what I'm saying? If you expose your queen, because we are speaking about the queens, right? If you expose your queen and you're counting on my moral character or moral fiber not to destroy her and heavily decrease your likelihood of winning the game, then you're an idiot. And then they, not really linked, but all the rappers now, the big banner that they're hired to push is infidelity. It's like, yo, bitch, your girl with me, your girl with me, your girl behind some tennis seats. And that's been happening since the beginning of time, but the reason they're focusing on it now is because it raises the paranoia and the distrust within relationships. So even when a dude is doing his absolute best, 4 out of the 5 songs that he's bobbing his head to are planting this idea that either he should step out on his girl or that she's stepping out on him. It's a grand deception going on with these relationships. And it took me a while to understand that until you have yourself together. Of course, you'll never have your entire self together. If you're a black man, you got to remember you are modeled after the great sacred ancestral father energy, also known as Osiris. We won't go there right now. And so it is upon you to reformat and rebuild yourself. And it's just hard. That's the price you have to pay for being, especially if you're conscious of who you are. That's the price you have to pay for being a conscious black man in the hells of North America, is that you have to witness all of these abnormalities and assaults upon your own very character, whether it's directly or indirect. And the problem is that there is no reward system or body of knowledge that supports that type of thing. In other words, whoever says anything like that is just an angry black guy who needs to chill out, or they need to stop being so defensive and realize that everybody's everybody. Well, we're a little beyond that, when you agree. So the idea here is that relationships are being manufactured as toxic temporaries. The more and more that money and, narcissism drives the hearts of people, you're just going to have a lot of dudes who are going to become wimps or simps, as I'm hearing now. You got a lot of women who see their simp every day and they know they got them by the balls, and pretty soon they mold their mentality to think that every man is a simp. Only until she finds a guy with some bad boy qualities who's not going to get pushed around. But then she doesn't like that because she wants to supplant his authority. And this isn't against women. This is the way the system is designed. Because as I told my buddy, black men and women are not supposed to be people to rule over one another. That was never. That is some new 2000, you know, um, baby boy type of programming where whoever shouts the loudest and whoever told that nigga the loudest and whoever clapped their hands and all of this, all of these behaviors that we love to see on screen, we think that that's who we really are. And I keyed that nigga's car and now granted if he did something wrong to you, you know, that goes the message. You always say a girl's tripping, his homeboys ask, what'd you do to her? Nobody wants to answer that. But um, this oppositional standard thing we have going, it's not healthy. It's not what we're really supposed to be about. As a matter of fact, we didn't start really opposing one another in a grand relationship sense until that slavery was imparted into our DNA. So when people ask what's it going to take to save relationships, I mean, it really just starts with you. And for women too, fortify yourself. Don't feel heroic or motherly because you got a dude who just, rolls blunt after blunt and eats Chinese and plays the game all day. Don't enable him to do that. And fellas, don't feel heroic if you have a girl who doesn't work and doesn't do anything and you bought her bullshit about being a breadwinner so she just sits on her ass all day on Instagram. Don't fall into that trap either, But again, if you pay close attention to what I just said, your self-worth will be able to give you traction in both those situations. Because that's what women are here to do. That's why our indigenous and African and otherworldly ancestors could function with 7 wives and 7 mating partners, because there was no subconscious need to supplant or outdo the other one. It was all a communal understanding that I'm the lightning rod, me and my phallus, you are the primordial unknown because you have the black hole. And together we produce another cosmic force from that. It's as simple as that, And we didn't do that with this intention that, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you over on child support. Yeah, nigga, I'm gonna get you. All this stuff that has us essentially selling each other into slavery. Because anytime you sign a document or, do all this stuff that has to do with documentation and legislation and signatures, and I'm not an expert on the whole capital letter straw man and all that, but all of that stuff, legalese and all these things, we think somehow we're black people, and I'm about to close in this segment. Black people think that this system is supposed to look out for our emotions, and that's for black men, this is the last thing I'm going to say, for black men, that couldn't be further from the truth. You let somebody talk about you on your job and you go up in there like Wesley Snipes and try to cuss them out, see what happens. You may get, I guess, at the moment, physical justice. But ultimately, you're not making a whole lot of waves when it comes to the system that sanctions that. On the other hand, the black woman loses control of her emotions. There's a safety net or a series of things set up in place that doesn't make her. Now, I mean, it depends on the degree of it. We have to be a little more self-controlled and reserved when it comes to our emotions out here, because that's what they're counting on, and that'll thwart us from any, future good relationships if we can't control ourselves.